Hello, my name is Carl Surrey, and this is a video tutorial for two Facebook groups, fans of Serif software and the Affinity Designer and Photo group. Serif recently updated both Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer to versions 1.6, and with that they've been giving away a load of extras that are for both. In some cases that they will work in both programs, and in other cases they will only work in one particular program. Some people have been having problems sort of A, finding where to download them, and two, how to install them. Now if you've just brought one of these programs from Serif and you will get version 1.6, I think the actual downloading side of it is pretty much straightforward. When you download the program, you can download the extras. But if you've updated from version 1.5 to 1.6, you sort of have to download them separately. Now I'm working on the PC version, and I think the Mac version is slightly different, but it should be pretty much the same. I think with the Mac version, when you open it up, you automatically get a link or something to where you can download the files from, but with the PC version you have to go to the welcome screen. Now if you've been using this for a while, if you're like me, you've turned off the welcome screen because it gets very boring, keep popping up all the time. So what you need to do is come up to the help menu, click on that, and then just click on welcome, and this is the welcome screen here. And as you can see, if I put a tick in here, I've taken the tick out of here so it doesn't show this every time I start up. But the welcome screen in this case has 3 different pages, and it just flips between each one after a few seconds, or you can click on the arrows and get to the screen that you want. And this one here is where the extras are for Affinity Designer, and you just click on the claim now. And similarly in Affinity Photo, you go to help, welcome, and then you get a very similar welcome screen, which you should be able to get to this page here when you can click on the claim now to go to the download page where you can download the various files. Now I do know that some people have been having problems getting this welcome screen to work. I think they just get the one page, it doesn't flip over to different pages. I think Serif are in the process of altering that and correcting that problem. But I think most people are not having a problem with the welcome screen. But this is how you get to find them. So once you have downloaded them, I've set up the folders like this myself, but when you download them you will get them as zip files like this, and then all you have to do is unzip the various ones that you want, and then they will make the unzipped versions of those files. I'm not certain how you unzip on a Mac, but basically on the PC you just right click and you can come to extract all, and then just follow the instructions and it will do it automatically. I'm guessing the Mac has a fairly similar way of opening zip files. So this is the Designer freebies, and here we have some brushes. Now the brushes will work in both Designer and Photo, so you can install these in very much the same way. So I will look at that first. So let's come to Designer is this one. Let's close the welcome screen, and if you come over to Brushes tab up here, in the right hand corner next to the tab is a little group of lines. You click on that, you get a little menu, and one of those is import brushes. And then all you got to do then is navigate to where you have saved your brushes. So Design Freebies, and then just click on the first one and click open, and you can see brushes have been successfully imported. So if I come to the brushes, you can see the Frankentoon comic book. So you've got these 4 brushes. So that is how easy it is to install the brushes. I'm not going to do all of them now. I will just move on to the next one, which is, I'm going to skip over this for the minute and move on to the Tom Chalky handcrafted fonts and textures. Now inside here we have 2 folders of textures. We just have a quick look at this one, and I'll look at the PNGs, and these are the various textures that you can use. Now you don't install these, you can open these up in Designer or Photo, but I'm going to do open with Designer, and as you can see we have the overlay, the texture here that you can use as an overlay above a picture and change the blending mode, or you could have it under a picture and change the blending mode of the picture to get that texture coming through the picture. So that is how you can use the textures, and like I said, it works the same in Photo as it does in Designer. And we come back to this one here, and then we have fonts. Now there's 2 folders here, the Jimmy font and the Wicker font, and I'll just click on this one. Now again, I really don't know how Macs install fonts, but on a PC you just need to select the one that you want, and I'm going to go for the TT, which is the true type font, because you have, each font has 2 versions of the same. You can go with the open type font or the true type font. I'm not 100% certain about the differences between the 2 different fonts, but I invariably install the true type font. So all you got to do is right click that, and then it has install, and I'll get a message saying it is installed the Jimmy Sans font. So if I come back to Designer, come to the text tool, and I do like this new font panel they put in version 1.6. If I can just start typing, as I know it's called, begins with J, I'll just put a J in, and Jimmy Sans font is already there and ready to go. Might help if it was off of the black background, because then you might be able to see it. So that is how you install a font. So going back to the last one of these, which is the UI kit. Now there's various parts of this. We have assets, palettes, samples. So let's start with assets, and this is called grade UI.af assets. So if I come back to Designer, and to install an asset you need the assets window open. Now by default it isn't open in Affinity Designer. What you need to do is come up to View, down to Studio, and then click on Assets, and it will open up this Assets panel, and as you can see it already has some there that you can just click and drag them onto your workspace and use the assets that way. But to install an asset, once you've opened this panel, again you've got this little menu button here, you just click on that, import assets, and then navigate your way to the asset and then just click on it and click open, and it will add those GUI assets into the assets panel. And then from this drop down menu you have these different ones that you can use. A lot of these some of these I've imported, and some of them come with the program. So that is how you can import the assets, and then when you have it you can just click and drag it onto the screen and use them that way. And I'm going to close the assets panel now, so again I'm going to have the view studio, just click on assets and it will get rid of that. So coming back to the kit, we now have palettes. There are 2 palettes here, so I believe this will work just as well in Photo as they do in Designer, but I wouldn't absolutely swear to that. But if I come to swatches and then this little menu button here, you can add a palette. Now you've got add a palette to the application, which will add the palette to Affinity Designer and Photo, and it will be available to all future documents that you may use, or you can just add it to this particular document only. The choice is yours, but I'm going to add it to the application, so I'm going to click on that, and I seem to have lost it. Let's try that again. Add application. We should have opened up a box here to... Oh, what is it? Oh, sorry. It has opened up a new folder which is called Unnamed 2 because I did it twice. Let me delete that one off. Come on. Right, it's not going to let me delete that one. Let's try it from here. Delete. Might help if I practice these things before I did it. Oh, let's go for import palette. Oh, this is what I should have done. I should have imported palette to the application. That's what I should have done. Very sorry about that. And so grade UI palettes, and then click on that, and it has added that palette. So I will do the other one as well while I'm here. Right, so those have now been added to the application for the swatches. Right, coming back to the GUI kit, we then have samples. Now this is AF design file, and I'm just going to right click this and then just click open, and it should open in Designer because it is a Designer file. So, and it has opened this sample of possible websites that somebody's designed: iPad Pro, iPad Air, and iPhone website versions of this design, which they've used, I'm assuming, using the assets and other textures and what have you. So opening the design files is pretty straightforward in that way. And I think that's the last of the designer ones. So let's move on to the Affinity Photo ones. Now, the overlays, there are basically pretty much all pictures of skies, which you can just use as an overlay, pretty much like the textures you can use, over an image, or you can add sky to an image. So I'm not going to go into detail about how to do that. You just open it in Affinity Photo and then edit it into your picture or above your picture. So you don't need to install any of these, but there is a macro here. So I will show you how to install that. So we come to Affinity Photo. I'll close this welcome screen. Now, a bit like the assets in Affinity Designer, in Affinity Photo you need to open the macros tab, and to do that, again, you come to View, Studio, and Macro. Now you will also need to open the Library tab. So you need to come to View, Studio, and Library. So the library is a place where it holds all the macros, and the macro tab is where you can make your own macros, and you can save individual macros. So initially you don't necessarily need to open the macros tab. I just do it out of habit, but once you've opened the library tab, you can click on the little menu icon and then import macro, and then it's just a case of navigating your way to the particular folder, and then just click on the file and open, and that should now be down the bottom of my list of macros. Here we go, Uplift Epic Skies. So let me just open one of these at random, and then see if I click on this macro, it will run this panel here where you can make alterations, and then just click apply, and it will change the program in that way. So that is how you can set up that macro. And I will now close the macros and library panel again by coming to Photo and close the library, Studio, and close the macros. Right, so coming back to the other freebies, now there is a macro pack, so there are some more macros which I will install later on, and the other one is a textures collection, which again pretty much works in the same way as the textures that were in Affinity Designer freebies. And again, you can just open this in Photo or Designer, and what I'll do is I'll just copy that and I will paste it over the top of this sky image I had. Let me just quickly resize it, and then I'll just change the blending mode and find one that works with that particular image. I'll just leave an overlay for now as it's only an example. So that is how you can use textures and overlays, and you don't have to install them, just have them on your computer and you can use them as and when you want to. So basically that is my very quick look at getting and installing or using the freebies that come with version 1.6. Now the offer to get them for free for existing users of Affinity Designer and Photo, I think runs out in about the 13th or so of November. So I would advise you getting them as soon as possible. But I'm guessing Serif at various points in the future will make them free again as a promotion, or they will end up being free as part of version 2 whenever it comes out. So thank you for watching. I hope this has helped, especially new people to Affinity programs, and goodbye.